Welcome again to God's Kitchen Down Under, where we feed the inner and outer man. Yummy recipes for the body or the outer man, and the Word of God for the spirit or the inner man. So today the recipe I've chosen is spinach and ricotta rolls. Now one of the reasons at least that I chose this is we're having some friends for afternoon tea on Saturday, and this is one of the things I often make when we have people around for nibbles. And I'm actually very excited to have some visitors because it's been so long in this lockdown, and I know people in Melbourne still can't have visitors. So I must admit I'm very excited that we can actually have visitors again, and I can cook some nice nibbles for them. So to start with, I've got all my ingredients here. So first of all, we have the spinach, and I've used 500 grams of frozen spinach. And basically what I've done is I've just thawed that out and drained it. So that's all ready to go. Here I have 500 grams of ricotta cheese. I have 4 shallots chopped finely. And the egg here I have is really simply to brush the top of the pastry and the edges. And here I have puff pastry, which is what I'm going to use to roll them in, and some salt and pepper. Let's get started mixing it all together. So it's fairly simple really. We've got all our ingredients, so we're just going to put them all into the one bowl, mixing them up together. So in goes our spinach, which has been thawed and drained. Next in goes our ricotta cheese. That's 500 grams of ricotta cheese. So it's 500 grams of the spinach and 500 grams of ricotta. So that's pretty easy to remember, but remember we also do put the ingredients up on the screen for you, so you know exactly what you need to put in. So there's our ricotta. This is 4 shallots, finely chopped. In they go. Okay, so what we're going to do is going to give it a good mix around to get all those ingredients all mixed in well together, because we've got to be able to roll them into our pastry. So remember, the egg goes on the top, just on the top to brown the pastry. And I've got some water there too, and that's just really used to join the pastry together when we roll it over. So we need to give this a pretty good stir, because obviously we want it all well mixed in. It can be a little messy. The ingredients are pretty simple, but obviously rolling pastry and getting it all in the pastry just right can be a little bit messy, but I think that looks okay for our mixture, all mixed up there. That's the spinach, the ricotta, and the shallots chopped finely. So we'll just put that there. We're going to sprinkle a little bit of flour onto our board so the pastry doesn't stick. And I'm going to put some salt and pepper in here as well. So a little bit of salt, and you can really put as much salt and pepper as you would like in your spinach and ricotta rolls. Just depends how much you like. So once we've put the salt and pepper in, we just give it another stir up for a few seconds. Okay, now we come to the tricky part. So I've got a packet of 6 puff pastry sheets that were bought frozen. They're now thawed out. So what I'm going to do is just do one at a time on the board, and what I need to do is really just roll it along the pastry. Okay, so we need to get our hands a little bit dirty for this, so just try and get it as even as you possibly can. Just, yeah, so it's not like really thin at one end and thick at the other end. So yeah, just need to do a little bit of fucking around with that. So what we're going to do then is we're going to cut our pastry in half, approximately. So just across the middle there. Doesn't have to be perfect because mine certainly isn't. Just a little bit of water, and really all the water does, we'll move that one away, all the water does is it actually helps to seal the pastry. So we just put that along there, and we're going to roll it over so that there's a little bit of overlap, because you need that overlap to be able to press it down, and then it'll hold together, because we don't really want ricotta and spinach rolls that are falling apart. Just give it a press down with the fork, because that just helps to seal it even further. And then what I'm going to do is just put another swipe of water along there, and then roll it over like that. Okay, so there we have it. Looks simple. And then we just press it with the fork along the top there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to whisk up the egg. It doesn't need to be beaten, just a light whisk. I've actually mixed 1 tablespoon of water in this as well, because it doesn't really need to be thick and eggy. It's really just to bring out that lovely golden brown of the pastry. So once we've done that, we just wipe it along the top a little bit more, and that's what makes it look so nice and brown. So that's that one. What I'm going to do is I've got our tray ready, so I've got a fairly large tray. I've just put baking powder in there, baking paper in there, only because it saves having to clean the pan, and also it helps them not to stick. So we just need to cut them into whatever size you like. If you want big ones, obviously cut them bigger. I'm just going to make little bite-sized finger food rolls today, so just cut them up. Now you might find as you're cutting, you might just need to give your knife a little wipe, otherwise they'll just become a little bit spread out, like with spinach and whatnot on them. So each time you cut, just give your knife a wipe, and that way it makes a nice clean cut without having all the extra food on the pastry. So there, then another wipe, and so on. So that's pretty much how we go about it. If you like it extra spicy, your food, you could always put a little bit of chili in, put some extra pepper, other flavourings. You could even put pine nuts if you wanted to, but I've chosen just to keep to the recipe and keep it nice and simple. So that one there, and we've just about got our tray full there, so we might have to do another tray full, or at least part of, because it looks like we've got at least one other piece of pastry. So there you go, you can see there that we've got a tray full on the baking paper. 4, 2, 4, 6, 7. So we've got about around about 28 rolls there, so that makes quite a few, and we've still got some to go. All done now. I've just counted them, and it's made 42 rolls. That's quite small ones, obviously. So there we have all our rolls. So that really came out of about 4 sheets of puff pastry, the 500 grams of ricotta cheese, and the 500 grams of spinach. So remember, with ricotta cheese you can use the light cheese if you want to, or you can use the full fat cheese. The same with the pastry, there's so many choices these days. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put them in the oven. I have my oven preheated at 200 degrees, so we'll pop those in. That one, the full one, can go on the top shelf, and then we'll put this one on the second shelf. And they will take 25 minutes approximately, so I'll set my timer for 25 minutes. But just keep in mind that, like with anything, all ovens are different, so it's easy, just a good idea just to check from time to time. There's my timer on there. So don't wait for the 25 minutes if possible. Maybe check them after about 15 minutes even, just to see that they're going okay. And some ovens I know cook the back before they cook the front, so you might need to just do a bit of a jiggle. So there we have it. That's our spinach and ricotta rolls. Now the buzzer has just gone off on the timer, so I have been checking these rolls from time to time, and in my oven they actually took about 10 minutes longer than the 25 minutes that was set. So just to let you know that it could be similar with your oven, it may be different. So there we have one tray of our spinach and ricotta rolls. You can see how they're nice and golden on the top, and they've held together reasonably well, which is good. If you'd like to try the recipe, I'd love to know how they turned out. So enjoy. So now we come to the feeding of the inner man, which is our spirit, and we're going to listen to the Bible verse for today. And I've chosen a scripture from the book of Joshua in the Old Testament. It's Joshua chapter 24, verse 14 and 15. And this is Joshua talking to the other Israelites, the other Jewish people. They have already come out of Egypt, and so he's speaking to them about their commitment to the Lord. It says, "Now therefore fear the Lord, serve him in sincerity and in truth, and put away the gods," that's gods with a small g, "which your fathers served on the other side of the river and in Egypt. Serve the Lord. And if it seems evil to you to serve the Lord, choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the river, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you now dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." And the reason I've chosen that is because we all can have idols in our lives. Back in the Old Testament days, the idols were often made of wood or other types of resources that they had at that time. Now, I guess it seems a bit funny to us that someone would worship a piece of wood, but pretty much that's what they did. They shaped them and moulded them, and basically they worshipped them. These days our idols are a bit different. We can idolise sport, we can idolise our cars, we can idolise other people, we can idolise holidays, cruises, whatever. Basically an idol is anything that you place above God in your life. So I guess my challenge to you today is, what are your idols? What are you idolising? Because if it's not God, if God is not number one, then it's time to do something about it. There's a lot of persecution happening in our world at the moment. There are countries, particularly Asian countries, where Christians are being dobbed in, where they are being rounded up, where they're being brutalised, their homes are being burnt, churches are being burnt, and there's a lot of this happening around the world. We don't see a lot of it here, but who knows? With the way our country has changed this year, we don't know what is going to happen in our country. So I would suggest to you not to wait until the persecution starts, but to decide now whom you and your house are going to serve. Because as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. So I hope that's been challenging to you today and encouraging. And thank you for tuning into God's Kitchen Down Under. and I hope to see you again next week. God bless you.